HR said we can't make exceptions, so I took all my PTO at once, by user Stardust Frost. New manager comes in loud, talking about structure and consistency. Suddenly no WFH, no flex hours, no swapping PTO. I asked to move 2 days. My cousin's wedding, she just goes. Sorry, we can't make exceptions to anyone. It wouldn't be fair. Alright then, I put in a request for all 23 of my unused PTO days. Straight through end of quarter. No overlap, no coverage. It got approved in like 10 minutes. LOL okay. Couple days later she's in full panic mode. Wait, who's handling your workload? Dunno. I assumed you had a plan. No exceptions, right? She had to cover me and deal with fallout. Stuff piled up, clients got pissy, 2 people quit. I came back to a new HR memo. Managers can now approve flexible PTO on a case-by-case basis. Turns out fair looks different when you're the one getting screwed. Trying to performance manage me out of a job? I'm up for the challenge, by user WakeMup 3000. Years ago I worked for a supervisor who just didn't like me. No reason why, since I just came to work, did my job, and went home at the end of the day. But he decided that I was terrible at what I did and decided to performance manage me out of my job. Game on. He wrote me up for some vague bullshit and asked me to sign it, but since it didn't show any hard facts and data, I asked for examples of this. Meeting ended with document unsigned since he didn't have an example for this. Tried it again with an example this time, and I asked how often this would be reviewed for feedback, how the feedback would be given, and how the improvement or non-improvement would be measured. He hadn't have a solid answer, so again no document signed and the meeting ended. The next time me had HR in the meeting and had all his documentation and the answer to my questions from the prior meeting. He decided to be so smart on how feedback would be given daily via email. I signed the paper and he gave a smug smile. Next day comes along and shockingly there was 0 feedback given. No email sent for the rest of the week. Get called into a meeting with boss and HR with a paper saying there was no improvement and I was being put on warning for termination, and oops, I'm sorry, but can you show me the emails where feedback was given daily as outlined? There were none. Meeting ended. Next day email sent with feedback. I responded with facts and data. No response. Day after email sent with feedback. Again responded noting that I hadn't gotten any follow-up for the day before and responded to that day's email with facts and data. Third day I again noted that I hadn't gotten any answers to the prior 2 days' questions and added facts and data for this one. Then I CC'd the HR person and sent it back. Apparently after much discussion boss decided that it was too hard to performance manage someone out of a job and my work was suddenly just fine after all. Told me I couldn't get time off to go home for holidays, fine, I quit. Several years in a row till they couldn't be bothered with the paperwork, by user Armuk. Was reminded from a recent post. I worked part-time throughout my studies, UK, on a 0-hour contract at a club/pub/events venue. This was over a decade ago. They didn't let folk have both Christmas and New Year's off, you had to work one of 'em. I joined and was made supervisor shortly after cause I had common sense and figures stuff out quickly. I went home for the holidays, and when that time came the first year I just said I'd quit. And did. There was no issue with finding another almost minimum wage part-time job. Reapplied in January as they were looking for staff. Rehired. Next holidays come around and I tell them the same thing. Same thing all over again. Next year, they just tell me please don't leave, just take whatever days off and we'll see you again next year. I'm also great friends to this day with my favorite GM from those days, though I went and got a job in my field. Don't want me start before 8 o'clock? Fine, by user commercial_search 364. Years ago I worked for this complete psycho at a semi-public service type place. Moody, arrogant, my first week there, she must have mentioned having a PhD/doctorate/ I'm a doctor at least half a dozen times, and the biggest goddamn snob I've ever met. We had flexible work hours, spread of hours between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m., signing on in 15-minute increments. If I had a really good run in traffic, sometimes I'd get there in time to sign on at 7:30 or 7:45. Well, psycho doctor didn't like that, and said I couldn't start before 8 o'clock, despite everyone else in the office being allowed to. I explained that sometimes if the traffic was good I got in earlier than that, but she wouldn't have it. Told me if I got in early, I could read through my work emails but I couldn't sign on before 8 o'clock, so basically she expected me to give 15 to 30 minutes free labor. Yeah, nah, Screw that. So if I got in early, and the weather was nice, I'd sit outside, or if it wasn't, I'd sit at my desk and read my Kindle. Or play on my phone. And didn't switch my computer on until bang on 8 o'clock. Her boss came by early one morning wanting to collect something she'd left in the office for him, and of course the office wasn't open and she demanded to know where I was. I reminded her that I wasn't allowed to start before 8 o'clock, which I could tell royally pissed her off, but there was nothing she could do about as I had the email trail to back me up. Small potatoes in terms of malicious compliance, but it made me feel good. You don't sound sick to me, by user computer poop. Edit, I am not an American. I used to work as a researcher in an inbound call center. I loved the work, and the company was fantastic when I started. But after 4 years they got bought out by a big international corp, a pretty standard hack and slash corp equals buy up a profitable company, strip it of all assets, cut costs, slash quality, make good money until our well-deserved fantastic reputation is destroyed, then sell off and move on. Within weeks the company went from being fantastic to work for to just yet another shitty, tense work environment where the bosses take advantage of the employees. One quick example of how badly they nerfed the bonus structure, one particular bonus went from being able to earn up to $1,000 extra in 3 days to a single $50 Boston Pizza gift card. Previously all employees got paid varying bonuses under this scheme, but in the new system, only one person gets the gift card. And they had the nerve to get mad at us when the new, slap-in-the-face bonus failed to motivate anyone. I was good at my job, and not to brag but I was the most productive employee on the floor. We were given 15 PTO, paid time off, days to use every year, which according to our employment contracts and company handbook were to be used for sick days, mental health days, and other personal reasons. No explanation was ever asked for, use them as and when you will. I always made sure to use up all my PTO by the end of the year as it didn't bank, previous management encouraged us to do so, and also there was no bonus for not using it. I followed the company rules, always gave plenty of notice, and only once left the team dangling with no notice, as I got seriously ill that time. The new management takes over and right away they start trying to intimidate us into not taking PTO. I hear a lot of this from my fellow employees, how when they call in the supervisors have started grilling them, challenging them, saying they don't sound sick, etc. A lot of intimidation and bullying. So by the time I need to use a PTO day, I'm ready. I call in one day and tell them I won't be in tomorrow. They want to know why, so I tell them I'm not feeling well. Their voice grows immediately cold, and they get a rude tone. You don't sound sick to me. Being a smartass, I said, not even doctors try to diagnose illnesses over the phone but they kept trying to push me. Can you come in the afternoon? You don't sound sick. You've been using a lot of sick days, way more than other employees. I got tired of being treated like a criminal for obeying the rules, so I got a recording app for my phone. I live in a one-party consent area so it's perfectly legal to record phone calls. Next time I felt sick I called into work. Now they always began every call with a disclaimer: thank you for calling XXX, for your information this call may be monitored or recorded for quality purposes. I say hello, give them my name, and say BTW, just so you know on my end, this call may be monitored or recorded for quality purposes. Because I am recording the call, and I think it's only fair to let them know. The supervisor gives a perfunctory laugh, then says, so why are you calling in sick? You don't sound sick to me. I'll put you down as sick for the morning but you'll be in for the afternoon. I inform them that no, I am calling in for at least one day and will update if I don't feel better. She says no, I'll put you down for half a day, you can call in again if you don't feel better. Once again I say no, restate my position, and tell them that is that. She gets really pissy and starts insinuating that this might cause me to lose my job. Why do you take so much more PTO than the other employees? I take what my employment contract says I am entitled to. No more, no less. Well, you should have a better team spirit, we'll have to review this with HR. Threatening tone, classical bullying playbook. I'm off the next day, come in for my following shift. Go see HR. I sit down at Art's desk in HR, he's very much a corporate HR lapdog. He starts going on about how they're going to have to review my employment contract and consider whether or not going forward I am a good fit at XXX Corp. Now in case I seem too calm in this scenario, bear in mind that, while I do prefer to remain at XXX for the time being, I do not care if they want to fire me. I'm very good at my job, I have had several job offers from competing companies, so the threat of being fired does not faze me. While Art is berating me, I take out my phone, and start playing the recording I made when calling in sick. Art stops, starts to get annoyed, then realizing he's listening to a recording of an employee verbally berating and intimidating a worker for exercising their contractual, legal rights. He excuses himself, and is gone for about 10 minutes, before returning, visibly angry but restrained. He tried to dress me down, scare me, intimidate me into thinking I had violated the law with an illegal recording. I told that, working as I did as a professional researcher, I had, to no surprise, done my research. And single-party consent is all that was required. He shifted gears, starting saying the recording didn't count because the supervisor thought I was joking. I wasn't. But she thought you were. And she was wrong. So it doesn't really matter what she thought, Art. I told her the truth, she made a mistake, and recording my own phone conversations is 100% legal, and admissible. Art leaves, and returns a few minutes later, ever more red-faced. You can go back to your desk. I did as instructed, and that was all I ever heard again about using my PDO. Whenever I called in from then on, they were always very precise and professional. Their tone was as cold as politicians promise, but that was a lot better than the bullying from before.